Welcome, sales and marketing pros, to Making Sales Social Live, from Social Sales Link Virtual Studio. I'm Bob Woods, social selling, AI, and LinkedIn strategy consultant and trainer, and fellow your LinkedIn top voice. Joining me today, as always, are the co-hosts of Making Sales Social Live. First off is fellow social selling and LinkedIn strategist, consultant, trainer, who is also our sales navigator expert, Stan Robinson Jr. What's up, Stan?
Hey, all is well. Good to see you, Bob and Brent.
Cool. Very good. And last and never, ever, ever not the least is the LinkedIn Whisperer and the authority on things related to sales, social selling, and LinkedIn, as well as an official LinkedIn insider, Bryn Tillman. What's up?
Hello, Bob and Stan. Excited to be here today.
Excellent. Excellent. So we've got a lot of stuff to plow through today. So we're just going to get right into it. There's something out there that's called the sales tool stack. And let's just say, if you know, you know. But just in case you don't know, these are the tools and technologies that make our lives in sales easier. But sometimes there are so many tools in a sales tool stack that the sheer number of them can do more harm than good. That's why we're going to break down our stack of sales tools here at Social Sales Link. Now, we do have several, but we make them all work together so they don't get in our way. The reason why we're doing this for you is that hopefully we'll expose you to one or several that you might be able to use in your own stack that you're not either using now just in general, or maybe it's something that's better that may replace something that's already in your stack. So before we do that, any thoughts on sales? That is so difficult to say. Any thoughts on sales tool stacks in general?
Yeah, I'm just going to start by saying one of the biggest challenges, whether you're an entrepreneur, a team, you're leading a large enterprise team, we tend to buy a lot of tools and then not optimize or leverage them.
Or not even use them.
So what we're going through today are the ones we're actually using and mostly optimizing. There are a few that we don't completely optimize, sometimes on purpose, sometimes just because we don't know what we don't know. But what I'd say is we're going through this. Obviously, this is what we're using. We may actually even miss some, right? We may not even, these are just the ones that came to mind when we were brainstorming this topic. And I know all the stuff we're paying for, so that was top of mind. Right? But ultimately, when you are listening to what we're doing, start to take inventory of your own stack. Think about what tools you've got, where your gaps are, and maybe even where you've doubled up and you don't need all.
I think that one's especially important, where you're doubled up at, or there's a pretty big overlap in what you're using. And it's funny because when we were brainstorming earlier, I had said out loud, "Oh yeah, this show will be easy because we don't have a lot of tools." By the time we got done, we're up to what, like 14 or something like that now. It's like, oh God,
probably not all of them, right?
Yeah, probably not all of them. Any thoughts, Stan?
Yeah, as Brent said, take inventory of what you have. And it's a good idea to put it on the calendar given how much tools cost and how the cost can just kind of creep up on you because usually when you add a new tool, you don't look back and look at which ones you should drop. So it's worth putting on the calendar to do a regular assessment.
Putting it on the calendar, that's a great idea, because if you're like me, if it ain't on the calendar, it ain't getting done. So that's a fantastic idea, Stan. I love that one. So with that, we're going to get right into it. We've got things broken into 4 categories. So we're going to go over communication and collaboration tools first, and those are important in a sales tool stack. So there's going to be some things that's like, yeah, but is it a sales tool stack? It really is, and we'll go over why as we go through. Number 2 is obviously sales and CRM. Number 3 is marketing and content creation. That's especially important in social selling because we are doing a lot of content creation. So those are very important. And then some productivity and automation tools in general. So our first one is one that everyone lived and died by in the recent past, and that one is Zoom. Zoom. in communication and collaboration tools. That's obviously video conferencing, virtual meetings, and webinars. And and tools like it, but we use Zoom, were just absolutely and still continue to be absolutely essential, right, guys?
Absolutely. And, not just for meetings, it's also great for content. So I know we have different categories, and I'm going to mess it up right on tool one. But Zoom is amazing, obviously, for running meetings. That's what it's most known for. But you can record and you can download transcripts, which can be a cornerstone for content as well. So communication and content.
Yeah, and content, and honestly, several of these are going to cross categories too. So I would say, in terms of if you're evaluating your tool stack as you're going through, also think of, maybe you want to set up categories like we have done today. If a tool crosses over a couple of different categories, that one's probably a keeper for you. And I think Zoom, or a product like that, because there's always that stuff going on about there, Zoom versus Teams versus whatever Google's is called and stuff like that. There's always that battle
Google
going
Meet.
on. Yeah, Google. That's right. Thank you. I glossed over because I couldn't remember what it was called. But yeah, there's always that discussion, to put it mildly, going on out there. But you really should have a tool like that. The next one, speaking of Google, is the entire Google suite. So, it's email, calendar, forums, presentations, docs, and spreadsheets. This is another one that crosses over all categories as well. So, obviously collaboration is amazing in that. Document management is really good too, especially because you have to collaborate on the document management as well as actually creating the documents too. The days of working in a standalone Word document, they're not gone yet, but with collaboration tools like Google Suite, they're definitely not as important as they used to be. What do you think about that, Stan?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, the sharing features and what you were talking about as far as collaboration, it's just amazing. And what Google produced for free, even though a lot of us are using a paid version of Google Suite, just amazing. So, love Google.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I think I pay $9 per person per month for an enormous amount of tools.
Yeah.
So when you think about everything you get in that Google Suite, you've got your presentations, your spreadsheets. The Google Meet comes with that, right? Even for the free, so you don't even have to pay for Zoom. I think I'm thrilled with Google Suite, and so if you don't have it for business, when we log into our email, our socialsaleslink.com email, we're actually logging into Google. Our calendar is in Google, and so it syncs with iPhones and everything amazingly well. And to your point, to you guys, the collaboration is incredible. We can quickly share a document and all be working in it at the same time. So
like we did for this episode of this podcast.
Like I just added
example.
I added things to this list while we're talking. So
exactly, precisely. So the third one, everyone's heard of Google. Everyone knows that Google Suite exists. The third one you may not have heard of as much, but it is essential for us. And you should have a tool like this. The one that we like, this is specifically for project management, is called Teamwork. So this helps manage projects. It tracks tasks within the projects, and obviously a bunch of people can go in and collaborate within individual projects as well as setting up projects and assigning things. And I mean, it's an amazing tool, Bryn.
Yeah, so we really love this tool. I'm going to just mention a few others that at least Bob and I have used. I think, Stan, you've used Teamwork before.
Yes.
Bob and I used Trello when we were at People Links. I've used Asana with RevGrow. I've used a lot of these tools. What I really like about Teamwork is you literally put in step by step. I think Asana is similar to this, and you can assign folks. So if we have a new client that we're onboarding, they just go into this project, and then our team knows what to do. And when something is done, the next person is assigned. So it really does gather every single one of our processes. And if something breaks in what we're doing, I can almost guarantee you it's not set up right in Teamwork, because when they're using it in Teamwork, every step is checked off. So
Yep. 100%. 100%.
yep. So project management. There also, I used Rike with a client once. The WRIKE. That was another one. It was just a client, and then I was part of that team. It was actually pretty good.
And that's another nice thing about tools like that, is that you can own the tool and assign people from outside of your organization to use a specific project within that tool as well. So that's another nice thing to, if you're doing project management in a spreadsheet, I mean, that probably works if you're just managing all your own stuff and you don't have anyone else to deal with. But most people, anytime doing anything anymore, always have multiple people from both within and without the organization. So a tool like Teamwork is, I think, is pretty essential.
So I'm just going to throw in, I believe if you have HubSpot, there is a plugin for HubSpot a project managment tool. So HubSpot is really kind of an all-in-one.
Yeah.
If I were to do it over, but we're where we are today.
Yeah, we are where we're today. So speaking of HubSpot and things like that, although we actually, let's just talk in general about sales and CRM tools. And our first big one, which I think should be obvious, but just in case it isn't, is Sales Navigator. And I am booting that one directly over to Stan to talk more about that.
So Sales Navigator is one of LinkedIn's premium suite of tools that is specifically designed to help sales and business development professionals stay focused on their sales opportunities. And like many of the other tools we've already mentioned, it's increasingly incorporating AI into its capabilities to make life easier and easier for us by surfacing relevant insights and information that will help us in sales conversations without our having to search the web, and you can still use Google Alerts and so forth, but Sales Navigator makes it so much easier. Bryn, I know you love Sales Nav.
Yeah, and that feature primarily that what you're talking about is called Account IQ, and it's scouring the web for you, and then with one click you can see, everything that's out on the web, it's being pulled in. So it's really powerful, and I love Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator, as long as we're talking about CRM and sales tools, can be pulled in to Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, and now completely integrated into HubSpot.
Right.
Now you do need to have 10 seats. We have 4. So you need to have 10 seats in order to have that integration. And our CRM is part of Teamwork. But I'm just going to say, side note on this, I don't love it. We actually use a Google form. Let's go back to Google Suite for a moment, where if I have a new prospect, I fill out the form, and then the back office, Kath mostly, will take that and put it into the CRM. So this is one of the challenges with CRMs, is they're just not easy to use. So if you want to see, now we're going to get spammed on this, but it'll be fun. If you go to socialsaleslink.com/CRM, you get to see our form, and you can see how we've put that together. I know, I'm curious what we get. We may change it internally if too many people use it, but I think it's just fun.
And Kath, if you're listening, our sincere apologies for that. No. The next tool is Sybil.ai, SYBILL.ai. This is a tool that you don't know you need, but once you discover what it is, you can't live without it. And that's not hyperbole at all, because it provides insights and analytics for sales calls, and just how it does it is just amazing. So it can help you so much in optimizing sales strategies, customer interactions, learning from the calls afterwards, things that it may pick up that you don't notice during the calls. I mean, because it uses AI to analyze the call, and not only gives you a raw transcript, it gives you a summary. There are places where it shows attention and things like
Nodding,
nodding and
smiling.
smiles and things like that you may not notice the first time around. So I mean, it's really an amazing tool, and it ain't cheap. But if you live and die on Zoom, I think that you should really at least seriously consider it.
So it is more expensive than the Fathoms and the Otters out there, but what we get is amazing, including the team collaboration. So you have your own portal, and you can turn on and off whether or not you want the rest of the team to see. So if I see a demo, I might turn that on and say, hey guys, check this out. And they just go into the team portion and they can watch the content. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, Stan.
It is fabulous. It's fabulous. And for taking notes, because it takes the notes for you, it summarizes, and it lets you know who should be doing what next.
Love it.
Next steps.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. I've had some podcast interviews recently about being present in all different types of situations. Sybil lets you be present because you don't have to worry. I mean, you can really just concentrate on the conversation without going, oh my God, that was a great point, I need to write that down, blah, blah, blah. Sybil's got you covered already, and it will call it out too.
So, and I'll tell you something interesting. I had a call with someone. It's a very small opportunity, but I had a call with someone maybe about 6 or 7 weeks ago. And they came back and I didn't have even a proposal. It was just a very small thing. And they came back and said, okay, we're ready to move forward. And I went, I don't remember with what, but I was able to go back to Sybil and watch our whole conversation. And then I was like, it was fresh on my mind. So that was great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So this
Excellent
may
stuff.
go without saying, but Sybil, not limited to sales opportunities, customer service. I mean, any type of call you can use it for.
100%. 100%.
And also not limited to Zoom. It'll go into Google Meets and Microsoft Teams and all those.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the next one is definitely a bit more. It's simple, yet I think it should be just a standard, or a product like this should be standard, and that's Calendly. Because it's simplifies scheduling meetings. You don't need the back and forth emails and things like that. Set up sales calls and demos. It now has the capability with paid accounts, I believe, to sync several people's calendars, so that if you want to schedule with like 2 or 3 people, Calendly will actually boil all that stuff down into a simple thing where someone who's coming in and selecting a meeting will know that all 3 people are available during that time. And I think that alone just makes it more than worth it.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times that, you have all these back and forth with someone because we want to get either all 3 of us on, or maybe Bob and Stan want to be on. Actually, Bob and I have used this more than we've got to add Stan. We found out today.
Yeah.
We've got to add him into that. But there are times where they're like, okay, well, maybe it's a demo that I want everyone to be on. So I can send them the link, and it looks at all of our calendars and says, okay, here are the 4 times and dates where all 3 of them are available. So I absolutely love that. The other thing is Calendly can take payments as well. So if you're not using, it connects to your Stripe or your PayPal. We don't use that because we use it through another tool that we'll talk about. But if you have a premium account on Calendly and you have schedule an hour coaching call and it's X number of dollars, they can schedule and pay right there. So I love that feature as well.
Very good. Very good. So now we're going to move on to marketing and content creation tools. So the very first one, this one's more specifically for podcasts. So if you're not, so probably not going to spend a lot of time on this one just because most people aren't podcasting. But if you are, we use Bcast. So that's letter B and then CAST for podcasts. It lets you host and manage podcasts. Really simple, but you need
Yeah.
something like
It's bcast.fm, I think. And I always forget that.
that.
It's a
Okay.
weird, like,
Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
bcast.fm. I always want to say it's an AI or an IO, but it's an FM.
Yeah, it is. It's an FM. Yep. So
Yep.
yeah. So
So
for
what I'm
podcasts,
thinking about,
if
oh,
you're
go ahead.
curious.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just unless you have something else to add, I
Yeah.
was just
Why
yeah.
did we pick Bcast? Because we had something else before and we switched to Bcast because you can drop in commercials, not just so or if you have a sponsor or if we have an event and we wanted to go in the middle of a podcast. Now here's the magic. If let's say we have an event that's coming up, September 2024 event, we can record it and then we drop it into Bcast, and every single one of our 250 plus podcasts now have the current advertiser. So, right. So that is why we spend more for Bcast, why we love Bcast. And because we could just drop it in, and so they can listen to something that was from 2 years ago, but it's the current event ad or whatever it is. So just want to share why we chose Bcast.
Yeah, so for those podcasters who are currently just manually inserting commercials into the actual edit of your show, you don't have to do that.
Right. Love it.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. The next one, you're viewing us right now on it if you are with us live rather than being on the podcast like we were talking about before. Restream. So we use this to allow streaming across multiple platforms simultaneously to maximize live video reach. So right now we are on LinkedIn, Twitter, X, YouTube, and Facebook all at the same time. Most television stations either use actually Restream, and I could tell just by how things are run, or a product similar to Restream, so that they can maximize their reach across all these different platforms. And we just use 4. There are many, many, many different platforms that that Restream goes to, like Twitch and Instagram and TikTok. If you have enough subscribers, yada yada yada, on TikTok, do that. There are a lot of different ones.
Yeah, I was checking, but yeah, there's a ton. I looked. There's a big
yeah. There's a ton. There's a ton that
some I never heard of, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we love Restream. StreamYard is one of the more popular ones as well. But Vimeo actually has the option to do this. So take a look and see which ones work best for you. We found that Restream just had everything we wanted. I think we started with StreamYard and we switched over.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So we go from live video to video editing, and this is for the recorded stuff, obviously. Some of the tools that we use are Camtasia, CapCut. If you're in the TikTok, you know about CapCut. Opus.ai is another big one. If you want the truly pro stuff, which we don't have, you can go with like Adobe Premiere or...
No, we do have. Jen uses Adobe Premiere. I just didn't list it.
Oh.
We do.
So yeah, and obviously Final Cut Pro from Apple is another one. But if you wanna do it for, like, not nearly as much money, Camtasia, CapCut, Opus AI, those are all great, lower cost, not low cost necessarily, although CapCut is free. Camtasia,
I paid $40 for it, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Sure. Yeah,
And
I think I paid $40, almost free.
Yeah, video editing though it's not that difficult to do. Take it from a guy who used to have to do video editing in the late 80s and was not fun, but it sounds daunting. It's actually pretty easy to do.
It is. CapCut makes it incredibly easy. You could do it on your phone. Yeah, I'm sure there's a free version, but with CapCut you could slide in B-roll and change the way that your captions look, and it's pretty awesome. It's so simple. Yeah.
Now, another platform that you can use for video, we don't use it for video. We use it in a different way, but just know that you can use it for video as well, is Canva. We use it for online graphic design, though. So we use it to create marketing materials, social media graphics, anything that's graphically oriented. We are on Canva. We're on Canva 24/7, I think, basically, especially because half of our team is overseas. We're literally on it 24/7.
Well, we do use, although the editing is still going to one of the platforms, we do use the video stock, video
stock footage
Canva for our B-roll.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah, Canva stock footage is awesome. They got a lot there, a lot.
I love it. Love, love, love.
Love, love, love it. So the next one that we use is something that you probably haven't heard of unless you do a lot of coaching and training. And it's a product called Kajabi, Kajabi. So this is an all-in-one platform. It handles online courses, marketing for those courses. You can build websites around those courses. If you're delivering coaching and training, especially coaching, if you're doing that digitally, this is the one that we recommend. It's the one that we use as well.
Yeah, I love it. We have actually a full-time Kajabi person, Bricks, who does like enormous amount. She's just brilliant at Kajabi. It is also our email marketing tool. It's a membership platform primarily, and that's really what it's known for. And if you see LinkedIn Library, if you go to socialsaleslink.com/library, you get access to our free content library. That is all that you now have a membership with a login. And then any of our premium memberships are also all managed through Kajabi. It is it's simple to use, and if you guys have any questions on it, we're actually offering this as a new offer that we're playing with. So you would be a little bit of a beta, where we're offering to set up people's Kajabi, because Bricks is doing a killer job. We have 2 clients that we're doing that with now. But Kajabi is absolutely amazing. And so if you sign up, if you download anything from us, it's a landing page from Kajabi. So it really is that all-in-one membership email site.
Yep. Very good. And the last thing in marketing content creation is a simple one, but it's crucial for me. And trust me, it'll be crucial for you too. It's Grammarly, of all things. People are like, Grammarly, yeah, I've seen it. They've been advertising lately, especially around like the Super Bowl and stuff like that. This helps you with writing and editing content by checking for grammar, punctuation, style errors. It now has an AI rewrite type of function. I don't use it a lot, but the couple times that I've tested it, it's not bad. And one of the other things that I like about it is that it also has a plagiarism checker. So if you develop content, especially if you develop AI content and you want to make sure that you're not at least plagiarizing someone directly, it's not going to check and see if you're borrowing ideas from someone else. It's only going to check the actual text, but it will check and see if AI basically hasn't plagiarized. And I can't speak to the accuracy of it, but if you're at least taking your content through that, if you're generating it from AI, that gives you at least some assurance that what AI is spitting out for you isn't plagiarized from someone else. Now, you should do everything else that we always tell you to do when it comes to AI generated content. Make sure it's in your voice, read it out loud, all that type of stuff. But this is something else that you can do. And Grammarly, I think, does a good job with it.
Well, so up until now, Stan has been my Grammarly.
Yeah, and I use it too occasionally.
Yeah,
I have that constantly.
Stan has excellent grammar. He catches everything. So, but
good.
when Stan isn't around, Grammarly is what I use anyway. So that's awesome. I did throw one more in there in our Google collaborative form, which is GoDaddy.
And how's that?
So GoDaddy is, first of all, where we bought our URL and about 700 other ones, right? So we have lots of redirects and things, but our WordPress is through there, and actually our email, although it's through Google, our URL lives in GoDaddy. And so I think GoDaddy is a tool that, I'm paying for it all the time. I know, I figure that's in our tool stack in a way, right?
Yeah, good point. It's a very good one.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go. We have
all right,
2 more sections.
Yeah, productivity and automation tools. We've only got 2 here. The first one, because we talk about it so much in so many other places, we're just going to mention what it is, and that's ChatGPT and, other generative AI. So if you're not into using specifically ChatGPT, there's obviously Claude and Poe and Gemini and even Perplexity and some of those other things, but you should really have or start to learn what generative AI can do for you, because it's amazing. Everyone's going to be using it. If you're not using it, if you're not learning how to use it more specifically, you're going to get left behind. It's that simple. You are going to get left behind.
So I have not officially announced which way we went, although I actually made a small decision, which will be a big decision, but it literally like an hour ago. We have a new tool that I'm very excited about and I'm pulling it up. It is called customchat.ai. Now, we ended up going with this tool. Stan and Bob don't even know this yet, because we can have 3 persona. So you can ask Bob questions, you can ask Stan questions, or you can ask Bryn questions. So we had this dilemma, right? Like with all of going out like the Bryn AI, but then we had this weird dilemma, like how do we handle this if it's a Stan question? So we found the solution, and I put the credit card down today. So we're going to start building that out. So that is our newest tool in our tool belt.
And we'll let you know how that goes as we go along with it as well. That should be really interesting to chart the progression of that and see where that goes. And once again, if you are not using AI, you're going to get left behind. We're not going to get left behind. That's why we're doing this type of stuff.
Yeah, so very excited about that.
And then the other tool that we're going to talk about really quick, because it helps, it's not AI in and of itself, at least the way that we use it, but it helps us leverage AI and use it effectively. And that's a tool called Magical, and it's Get Magical is the URL for it, but the tool itself is just called Magical. But I'm sure, whoever has magical.com wants $1 billion for it. So they went with getmagical.com. And it's an automation tool actually, but we don't use it automated. We use it more as a text replacement and text filling type of thing, to where you can put prompts in, you can have spaces within the prompts where you can fill in custom text depending on what it is you want to do. It helps streamline repetitive tasks like, filling out forms, data entry, which is, if you get a really good AI prompt and you want to keep using it, put it into Magical, have the spaces for where you need to put custom stuff in, and then start talking with it from there, depending on what it generates.
We're big fans.
We are. Thank you, Reed.
All right. So now I'm going to just jump into 2 that we use primarily with the Modern Banker. So the Modern Banker is, I'm going to call it a sister company, right? Where we work with Jack Hubbard, who is the number 1, in my opinion, the number 1 bank sales trainer in the entire universe. And we have 2, we have 2 sponsors, but we love what they do. So we're very careful with the sponsors we bring on. We have to believe in the product 100%, and we do with these 2. So the first one is RelPro, and it's a tool that if it's important to you to know well, first of all, there's lots of, like, I can grab emails, I can grab liens on companies, I can find out, if they have UCC filings, like really deep dive. It's amazing for bankers when they're prospecting to know what's happening inside of an organization. But it also is a great email finder. So that's how I've used it mostly. But that is not, that's when I said we're not using all of the tools to the optimization. That is one that we haven't really used, but the bankers that use it are absolutely blown away. The other one is Vertical IQ. And although we use this for banking primarily, everyone can use this. And what I love about Vertical IQ is they curate content based on industry. So if you're going to go sell to the automotive manufacturing industry, you can go in, find the trends. So just like Account IQ is gathering everything from the web inside of a company, Vertical IQ is really gathering incredible insights based on like every industry you can ever imagine. They summarize it so you can take that summary and use it in a share, and you can use that content to start conversations. So I just wanted to give them both a shout out. Fabulous tools. And just on the side, I'm going to just publicly congratulate Martin Wise, who's the CEO of RelPro, because his daughter is a really good friend of my daughter, and she just had her first baby this weekend. So congratulations, Martin.
There you go. That's what building relationships is all about. So you get to know stuff like that.
And actually, I will say, so they're friends because of Martin and me. So Martin and I were talking, and I'm like, oh, my daughter just moved pretty close to where his daughter lives. And so we connected them, and they like immediately became incredibly good friends. The funny thing is, though, 4 years later, 3 years later, they'd have other friends that overlap. So they would have met each other anyway. Just saying. All right. Networking with friendship.
Networking. Yeah, that's what I want to say. So
sorry for my tangent there. Although I love that. Whether it's personal or professional, I love connecting people.
Yep. That's what it's all about ultimately. So thanks again for joining us for this episode of Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or X via Restream right now, we do this every week. So keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us recorded on our podcast via Bcast and your favorite podcasting platform, and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button to access all of our previous shows and be alerted when new ones drop. SocialSalesLink.podcast is where you want to go if you want more information about the podcast. We do 2 shows weekly, this one and our Making Sales Social interview series, where we talk with leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many, many more business and, yes, even life in general related areas that can help you out with living. So when you're out and about, be sure to
It's socialsaleslink.com/podcast.
What did I say?
Socialsaleslink.podcast.
.podcast. Oh,
yeah, socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Okay, now when you're out and about.
So when you are out and about, make sure your sales are
social.
All right. We're getting that down really well, guys. Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. See you on the